Will Gary Gensler join the U.S.? Treasury to end cryptocurrencies? Traditional markets are recovering in a wedge pattern. Will they collapse and reveal traps in the crypto world with the U.S.? Presidential election approaching, rumors about the potential appointment of Gary Gensler, the current chairman of the Securities and Exchange Commission (SEC), as the next Secretary of the Treasury if Kamala Harris wins are causing concern in various sectors. Gensler, known for his tough stance on cryptocurrencies, has been a controversial figure in the financial space. His possible rise to the Treasury adds another layer of uncertainty to an already complex electoral scenario. Kamala Harris's silence on cryptocurrencies and her government plan has intensified speculation about her stance toward this sector. While Donald Trump has directly addressed the issue, even promising to dismiss Gensler if he wins, Harris has maintained a low profile, which some interpret as a strategic distancing. However, the lack of clarity has left many in the crypto industry worried about the regulatory future under a potential Harris administration. The possibility of Gensler taking the position of Secretary of the Treasury has also sparked reactions within the Senate. Republicans have warned that his nomination could unleash an era of lawsuits against the cryptocurrency industry, pointing out that his track record at the SEC has already been a source of controversy. On the other hand, speculation that Elizabeth Warren, another critic of cryptocurrencies, could be another candidate for the position only adds to concerns about the country's economic future under a Democratic administration. The uncertainty affects not only financial markets but also the political landscape. With potential unified opposition from Republicans, should Gensler be nominated and likely Democratic support, his nomination could become a significant point of contention in the early stages of a Harris administration if it comes to fruition. In conclusion, the possible appointment of Gary Gensler as Secretary of the Treasury is creating an atmosphere of uncertainty in both financial markets and the political arena. As the election draws closer, the lack of clarity about Kamala Harris's stance on cryptocurrencies and the possibility of a significant shift in the country's economic policy keep observers and investors alike on edge. Let's now move on to analyze the markets. On screen, we have Bitcoin on the 4-hour time frame, and we can see how, after this upward impulse, we are now experiencing a downward channel. Within this downward channel, this gray rectangle we're seeing is nothing more than the value area. This is the macro process where investors find value to trade these assets. This is something we've been analyzing for a couple of weeks now, also observing how the price reacts to this zone, expecting that at some point it will break out strongly and re-enter the value area. But to see this more clearly, let's zoom in a bit for a more in-depth view. Let's switch to the 1-hour time frame, and let's stop here. This sharp drop, driven mainly by the decline in the entire financial market, including the stock exchanges in Japan and New York, was followed by a recovery and a pause. This entire process, which includes a drop, recovery, and pause, has allowed us to anchor a creek. This creek is where we are evaluating a bullish accumulation process. At the same time, we have a more micro-level process, also a bullish accumulation. We can see how these buyers have established a defense zone here. What does this do? It defends their purchases. Therefore, they do not let the price go below this point. At the same time, here we have another creek represented by a dotted line. This creek, in this case, is interpreted as an advanced trend line. This advanced trend line is simply a creek from a more micro-level accumulation process, which is within the overall accumulation process we're evaluating. It will likely signal an upward break of the creek. As we can see, this advanced trend line was broken yesterday, and the price has impacted the upper creek directly. That said, what could we expect in the coming days or hours? At Crypto Insight, we are bullish and positive about the entire crypto ecosystem. Therefore, we expect the price to break upward and re-enter the Bitcoin value area that I mentioned earlier, aiming to replicate this original upward impulse that is now in pause mode. However, even though we are waiting for the price to break upward, it may take a bit longer as there is still room for a short-term decline. And why do we say this? Let's take a quick look at the traditional market. On screen, we have the SP 500, and we can see that after the sharp drop it experienced just a few days ago, the price is recovering and doing so in a wedge pattern. This wedge is still in play, but of course it could collapse at any moment. And this collapse, while we don't expect it to lead to disaster, would be a brief pause before continuing. Now, back to the Bitcoin chart on the 1-hour time frame. This potential collapse of the wedge we mentioned in the SP and the entire traditional market gives us room for a decline in Bitcoin. Therefore, in the short term, we could see the price, before breaking upward, complete this structure. Why not confirm the advanced trend line, perhaps even entering as a trap, and then go on to look for that replication we're expecting? Now, let's move on to Ethereum, but first.
Welcome to Crypto Insight, your ethical and moral channel for cryptocurrency technical analysis. Here, we really know what we're talking about. We conduct advanced technical analysis that has been developed for over 12 years. We upload videos several times a week. If you're enjoying what you're seeing, let me know and leave a comment with your opinion. Like the video, subscribe to the channel, and click on the bell so you don't miss the next opportunity.
On screen, we have the Ethereum chart on the 1-hour time frame, and we can see many similarities with the Bitcoin chart we just analyzed. The same will happen with altcoins. On one hand, we have the sharp drop followed by a micro accumulation process that leads the price back up, and on the other hand, we have the drop followed by a micro accumulation process that brings the price back up. Just like with Bitcoin, this also allows us to draw an advanced trend line, advanced to the higher crypto. Unlike Bitcoin, this advanced trend line hasn't been broken, but has been confirmed again, so there's still room for a decline in Ethereum without it being a disaster. Therefore, we can expect the price to come back to the defense zone, possibly making a trap below it before breaking structures upward and seeking the replication of this movement. That's why we consider cross-analysis so important, always keeping an eye on the traditional market and the rest of the crypto world to see if the price makes a small trap before breaking, or if we see the traditional market collapsing those wedges. If not, we might be ready to start breaking structures. Let's look at Cardano, and also on the hourly time frame. We can draw this creek, which we're evaluating as part of a bullish accumulation, just like in the entire crypto ecosystem. We also have buyers defending the price of their assets. Thus, while we expect Cardano's price to break this creek upward, there is still room for a decline. Since this defense zone hasn't been breached yet, we could expect some sort of trap before we see an upward breakout. Similarly, for Solana, looking at it on the hourly chart, it also shows a strong drop, followed by a micro accumulation process. This has allowed us to establish both a creek and a defense zone. This micro accumulation led to an upward impulse that confirmed our creek. At the same time, we see a micro distribution process which has set a supply line. So just as buyers indicate that the price won't go below this point, these sellers are also marking their territory, indicating that the price won't surpass this level. However, we can see that this supply line has been breached. This doesn't mean the price will immediately regain bullish strength, but we need to pay close attention. If it doesn't recover soon, we might expect bullish momentum to start sooner rather than later. Finally, we have DOT also on the hourly chart, and once again, the structure repeats almost identically. We see a drop, an accumulation zone, which leads to a price rise, an anchored trend line, and a defense zone. Simultaneously, we have an advanced trend line. As we saw with some of the assets, this advanced trend line has been breached and could be a trap if the price re-enters the structure. If that's the case, we might be ready to take off and look upwards. Since we can't predict what will happen, we'll pay special attention to other assets and perform cross-analysis. As we know, there's still room for a decline, therefore we'll wait for the price to react in this zone. If the traditional financial market starts collapsing these wedges, we might expect that the movement above the advanced trend line is just a trap, with the price re-entering the structure. We'd then continue, take a bit more time, and look for the upward breakouts we're anticipating. If you like this advanced technical analysis, let me know in the comments. Also, give the video a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and click the bell so you don't miss future analyses. Share this video with your friends and other trading and crypto communities so more people can keep growing in their trading journey. Good luck with your positions, and see you next time.